Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. You may also want to check out my new mini course, Telepathically Connect with Your Specific Person. So if you guys are interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I want to address a question I get quite often from people who are manifesting a specific person. And the question is, what determines what change I see in my specific person and the degree of change that I see in my specific person? Many of you are seeing some change in your specific person or in the situation with your specific person, but then things might go back to the old story, or you might be seeing a lot of hot and cold, you might be seeing a lot of movement, but then the next day the old story is getting reflected again. Or maybe you're seeing a small change or maybe some changes, but not the entire picture, not the full change that you have been manifesting. So many of you are wondering what determines the change and the amount of change, the degree of change that you experience in your SP. So this is what I'll be discussing in today's video. Stay tuned. So based on my understanding of the teachings, but also based on my personal experience, my personal trial and error, I'm here to tell you guys that the degree of change that you see in your SP, or the degree of change that you see in the situation with your SP, in your relationship with your SP, is directly related with the degree of your own inner shift. In other words, how natural you feel about that new state, how natural you feel about that new version of your SP, how natural you feel about the new situation, the new version of your relationship that you are manifesting, determines the degree of change that you see in the 3D. And that includes the degree of change that you see in your relationship or in your specific person themselves. To make it a little simpler, and of course these are just examples, let's say that the shift that you have achieved within you in relation to the situation, in relation to the relationship, in relation to the version of your SP you're experiencing, is about 50%. Well, this 50%, which represents your own inner shift, the percentage of your own inner shift, is actually going to be reflected in the 3D by your SP changing and showing you a different version that is directly proportional to that. So the way this would translate in the 3D would be, for example, that your SP shows you a new version of themselves about half the time, and then the other half, they would still be playing out their old self and the old story to you. Or perhaps you notice a change in part of their attitude, a change in part of how they deal with things, in how they treat you, in how they're showing up. But then the other half is still who they used to be, who you knew them to be in the old story, who they used to be as their old self. And of course, as I said, this is just an example. Of course, when we're manifesting, we're not measuring 50%, 20%, 70%, 100%, or anything like that. But what I'm trying to illustrate, and the point I'm trying to make, is that the degree of your inner shift, the degree of your own inner naturalness, the degree of your own inner belief and conviction in that new state, in that new reality, in your desire manifesting, in that new version of your specific person and of your relationship with your specific person, is going to determine the degree of change you're going to experience in your 3D. So obviously, if your degree of change is, let's say, close to 0% or is about 5 or 10%, you're not going to see much change, or you might not even see any change at all. If your inner change, your inner shift in perceptions is much higher, let's say 70, 80%, you're probably going to be experiencing a lot of change in your 3D. You're going to be seeing a very different version of your SP. You're going to be experiencing a very different version of your relationship. And you're going to be seeing many differences compared to the old story and the old version of your specific person. This is also something that Neville very explicitly taught. He very explicitly said that the degree of your belief, the degree of the naturalness which you feel about your desire and about your manifestation is going to determine how you experience it in the 3D. And of course, that is also in the Bible. Because as we know, Neville drew his inspiration from the Bible and he reinterpreted it in a way that is aligned with the law of the universe. As the Bible very clearly says, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. So this is how you know, this is how you gauge what to expect in your manifestation, what degree of change and what kind of change to expect to see manifested in the 3D after you've been doing all the inner work and all your inner practice. It has to do, and it's directly proportional to the degree of your inner shift, the degree of the conviction you feel towards the new desire and the new reality, how natural it feels for you, how normal it feels for you, how expected it feels. The more it feels normal and natural and more like a fact, the more you're going to see it in the 3D, and the higher the degree in which you're going to experience it in the 3D. That's why I gave the example of the percentages to illustrate it for you guys a little more, but please don't get caught up in that. Obviously, like I said, when we're manifesting, we're not looking at percentages. So the degree to which you believe that this change is true, that this change is natural, is going to be the degree in which it's going to be reflected back to you in the 3D. Which is actually great news for us conscious manifestors, because it means we can actually work on our inner faith. We can work on our inner shift. We can work on changing our perceptions, changing our perspective. And this is an ongoing process. This is ongoing work. And the more these perspectives and perceptions shift, the more the 3D shifts in proportion to our inner shift. So in more practical terms, if you're seeing some hot and cold with your SP, or if you're seeing some change, but then other things remain unchanged, or if you see a little bit of change, but then things tend to go back to the old story, you want to examine what is the level of your conviction, of your inner conviction, that the things that you desire, the version that you desire to experience, is actually feeling natural to you, is actually feeling normal to you, and it actually feels like matter of fact. The higher the percentage, the higher the proportion, the bigger the reflection is going to be, and the closer it's going to be to what you actually desire and what you're actually manifesting. So I hope this helps answer this question. I hope this helps clarify things. And like I just said, if you guys are seeing hot and cold, if you're not quite seeing the reality that you want, if you're not quite seeing yet the version that you want in your SP, keep persisting, keep cultivating that faith, keep cultivating that conviction within yourself, keep cultivating that change in perspective and perceptions, and things are going to change for you. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.